I didn't know that you were advocating for a strong Africa.
Yeah.
Are you into politics?
Am I into politics? I don't know. I don't know. I'm into Africa. The numbers, the statistics, everything points out that Africa is at the stage where it can either flip the coin on the right or to the left.
To the left.
But for us as Africans, we have to start thinking like, what is our interest? Do we want presidents that stay on for forever and afterwards hand over to the batons to their sons?
The topic.
Another chapter on the topic. I'm here with my brother, Oscar Asamoah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while. I checked. How long has it been?
It's been long. It's been very long. It's like
a long time.
It's like family started happening. Everybody like,
go a separate way. These babies,
yeah, these babies.
But it's necessary. It's necessary.
We did our duty.
Our duty.
Yes.
Now, see, it's connected. We find ourselves again.
That's it.
I've known Oscar for a very long time. We've been family. The two families are one family now.
Go the way back.
Yeah, you understand. Musically and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let Mr. Oscar Asamoah introduce himself, and then you take it from there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, to you, you know me. So
Definitely.
Basically, just for the people maybe watching and listening, who is Oscar? Oscar Asamoah is my name, originally from Ghana. A big fan, son of Africa, I would say, because I'm really for Africa. I'm really for the things of Africa.
The modern Pan-Africans.
Exactly. So, born in Ghana, raised in Ghana, somewhere before, like mid-teens. After mid-teens, I came to Europe. That's where we started doing a whole lot of music. And, like doing a whole lot of, what young people do when you have school and free time.
Getting used to the European
lifestyle,
integrating.
Right? Exactly. Integrating into the system. And, schooling, working, background in engineering, background a little bit software, hardware stuff, like massively on social issues, especially that confronts Africa and EU a little bit. So it's like a little bit of everywhere and also a little bit of faith lifestyle, So yeah,
that's good.
That's good. A little bit of a complex.
You've been busy.
Busy, yes.
You've been busy because the engineering and the software and that's new. That's all new to me.
Yeah.
Because when we used to work together, that was in music.
Yeah.
And then I heard about engineering.
Yeah.
At the last conference or the debate.
The debate,
Future of Africa. Debate. And I heard about engineering. I'm like, what? When did that happen?
It's like years ago, because like 5-7 years ago that we basically, because around, I think some of the last music that we were putting out were around, if I'm not mistaken, 2012, so it's been a while.
That was Gold Coast, by the way.
Yeah, Gold Coast, it was like being the European hip hop. But then you go to school, you get into the job field, and then you start realizing, okay, I like this, but maybe I can do this a little bit. So you go and try and learn it. Most of us didn't have that straight part in where, Papa and Mama has money to put in your education. So you go and sit in the classroom for 10 years and we will pay everything for you. For us, it was like, okay, go and find work.
Yep.
And pay the bills.
That's that's the living. I mean,
that's it. That's it. And
it's a different kind of a lifestyle we had comparing to the white generations. On our age, when they were coming, most of them, not some of them, most of them, they will have families put aside for them, and we didn't have that opportunity. Our mothers and fathers, they came here to hustle as well, so they had a lot on their plate. For they have to feed us, they have to feed home. What do they have to put on the side? There will be nothing left, and taxes and everything. So we don't blame them.
No, not at all.
It's just a system set up
that way.
So
and the way it is set up, and you have to try and, you know, keep going at a pace that might not be, you know, the normal pace. But you just keep going. And that is how actually, for me, my partner has been. It's always is a bit more unconventional way of learning things, discovering, okay, can I do this? Can I do that? And then, you go to evening school, you find courses or online, you check, and you try to get the discipline and you learn. And then
you learn.
Yeah, and then you at work, you also try to knock on doors. And at the same time, you observe what is, I mean, it all boils down to who you are as a person and what your interests are, right? And what you want to become. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I'm not really what they call a specialist person, you know, like one person who knows everything about one thing. I'm not that type of person. I know a lot of different things. And, you know, like if I need to know something, I try to go and know it.
I mean, that's also one thing, the reason why we clicked so well, because why focus on one thing if you can do multiple things and have different options when it comes to the workforce? Wherever you are on this God-given earth, you will find job.
That's it.
You have the talent,
flexibility,
you have the flexibility when it comes to job.
That's it. That's
it. And talking on benefits from our parents, what they could have given us and they didn't have. But I mean, we should be thankful that they gave us this opportunity brought us to Europe. It opens a whole lot of opportunity for us.
It's a huge chance. You know, you get to Europe. I mean, for some, like if you compare yourself to your European friends, it's a different thing, right? They think like, they brought you to Europe and what else? You know, like for them, it's like nothing. But if you're an African, if you're born in a place like Ghana, there's a huge advantage still, because you are in an environment where you have access to, depending on your own motivations and how much effort you put in there. There's opportunities around you. You can find job. You can create jobs. You can do something with yourself. So even though it might not look much, it is still something. You know, it is still something that they brought us here, and that we took that advantage and also try to make something out of ourselves.
It is. Yeah, it takes someone with the right mindset. To make something out of nothing, or to make something when the opportunity presents itself. We have few of some of our generation that came here around that period of time that also didn't work that well for them. Do we blame those people, or you might say because the system doesn't favor them?
Two things. Like, I wouldn't blame them. That's the first thing I would say. And also, you have to understand that migration is always a challenge, because most of us, we were not even informed. I mean, I can talk for myself. When I was coming to Belgium, for instance, I didn't know nothing about Belgium. I just landed here and I was surprised. Like, okay, so this is it. They spoke a different language that I have never heard in my life. That they conducted themselves totally different. Everything was strange to me. I remember the first time that I was going to Antwerp for the story back then. The first time I saw the roller, the tram, and I had to take the tram for the first time. It was a challenge. I didn't even know how to. I remember that was my first week in Belgium, and I'm asking people. I'm trying to like talk to them, like stop them and get their attention, and nobody will mind me. Nobody is to tell me what is the black guy doing here, you know, right? So it's a challenge for people to move into a country and to really make something out of, to find their way, because for that to happen, you need to find your way, right? You need to find your 2 feet on the ground, like the support system for you to be able to say, okay, even though I didn't get everything that I need, I'm still going to try and make something out of myself. Not everybody sees it that way. There are people who are, some of us are maybe a bit more strong charactered and also like, you know,
I get that part. I get me myself. I didn't even know what kind of language is speaking here in Belgium. What kind of food they eat? French fries. I had no idea what French fries was.
Right.
I was excited that they get me in the coat that was bigger than my size.
Back there, the hip hop lifestyle.
Me and my other 3 brothers, elder brother and the two youngs after me. We had a coat on. They put us in a coat that was bigger than me. And they put us in a plane, and then when we got here, it was cold. It was cold. So it's an experience, a lifetime experience. To experience something like that. Yeah. But then you got here and you're like, holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be holy crap. Yeah,
you understand? So if you don't know anybody here, it's a challenge.
It's a huge challenge.
We're lucky enough. We had some family friends here, family members here that escorted us to school. I remember learning Igben. Our first school was in Hoboken. I met Jonathan, Uncle Joe. I met Jonathan, and then from that school, he kind of, was the big brother there. So
Joe has always been cool.
So this day, Jonathan
is cool. Always been cool.
I don't know whoever can say something bad about Jonathan.
No.
Jonathan
I mean, for a few times that I've kind of interacted with.
No, Jonathan is that guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Uncle Joe. Shout out to Uncle Joe. And then I went back to Hoboken again. Spear. Yeah. And then I met Ben. Yeah. And the rest of the guys and me and Ben, we've been close to this day. Ben is a big brother to me. So if you don't have people like that,
that's strong. That's why
kind of, I mean,
go along with you in the struggle. With you.
Because sometimes if I have to ask something in school in the cafeteria, I have no idea what I'm going to say.
And then that's what people don't get. Like, when you're a foreigner, your vocabulary is limited. It's not like you don't want to be friendly, you don't want to talk to people, you just don't know how to express yourself because that is not your language. And you don't know if you speak the language that people will respond to it, right? So it's like you're always looking for a way to avoid every confrontation with people just because you don't know how you're going to express yourself, right? So, you need people around you that will support you. And unfortunately for some people, sometimes
they don't.
And also it's really important that as I grow, I begin to understand still we have to try and find people.
I wanted to say that. Don't you think it has something also to do with character?
It has to do with character is one thing, culture is one thing, right? We are not people who in our culture, for instance, is like we happen to connect. We don't really seek out things. We are not like when you're in the European culture, people go out to seek things. They go out to excurse. They spend money for exposure. They meet people. They try to connect and have conversations.
Socialize.
We are not really like that. We are like by luck. We happen to be in the same room and we spoke and we kind of connected and it happened or it didn't happen. And so sometimes because we are not taught how to connect with strangers or at least ask ourselves, who do we need in our life and how are we going to find that person to support us, which is mentorship, for instance, is a huge thing in the Western world. Whereas in Africa, it's not really a thing, it's not part of our culture. Nobody mentors nobody. People die with all the knowledge they know. And
figure it out yourself.
Figure it out yourself, right? Nobody wants to kind of be the general that have officers following and things like that, which is not a good thing. So it's that culture that sometimes denies. Because when I go to campus now, sometimes you see people in young Africans who are here and they're still walking alone. They are like all by themselves. It's not, you can't blame them. It's the culture they are coming from. Somebody have to, they have to happen to be a situation that brings them to somebody, and then they learn to connect. But they have to seek it out themselves. Because I didn't do that, but it's very important that we start doing that.
It's true, though. It's true. And if you look on, like I mentioned, character, a lot of us made something for ourselves. Integrated well. But some people here didn't get the opportunity to integrate.
Or they didn't try.
Choose to, or they didn't want to.
They didn't want to.
And some people that we had the same opportunity, like in school, we went to school with them and then end up.
Okay, one thing that is also, indeed, in that sense, the character part plays a role, because also it's like how bold are you to express yourself, right? If you're really like expressive and you're not scared of connecting with people, then it's a bit easier. I'm not really. I mean, both of us we get along very well. I mean, in a circle of groups that we grew up with, everybody was playing their role. Everybody knew what they were doing, and if you happen to be in that group, you know, okay, when we go out, how you behave, you know, everybody, you know, like, and also I had, like, for instance, you guys around me, for instance, that forced me to, you know, do some stuff. And me also being around you, that forced you guys to do something.
We inspire each other.
Inspire each other. And so it's about opening yourself up to different groups. And if you don't have that character of, you know, connecting with people, or if you're scared of, or if you're not really like, you don't see the point. Because I remember when I came here, I was a guy who I got into the community, I mean, very fast, because also a part of the family was like, the Belgian part was there already. So I started speaking to Belgians basically at a very early age. I remember talking to one guy, Kwame, back then, and he was surprised that I was already talking to a Belgian, and like, I was wondering, like, what is the problem talking to a Belgian? I mean, you are here, but, you know.
What do you think his problem was? Because he still sees as an inferior, or you think they were either racist or discrimination?
Maybe I think the presumption is a bit more. I mean, we cannot downplay that some of them are a bit, you know, difficult to get around with. That, and it's the same with every group of people.
Every
you know,
nation.
Everywhere you go, there are those who are a bit welcoming and those who are just like, get out.
Even Ghanaians
also.
I go to Ghana, some people don't want to come.
No, they don't.
Either they shy or they don't feel like it, or they think you are something else.
That's it. That's how it is. In every community, there are people like that. And so it's up to you to seek it out. Like I'm saying, seek it out, try to understand, and also like maybe know who you are as a person, and then try and build that community around you. People will always be discriminative. There will be a bit more racist in between. Those things are, but to presume that everybody, or to assume that everybody is racist, to assume that everybody is going to discriminate against you, to assume that people don't want you, will only put you at a disadvantage. One thing I've learned, I mean, lately, is that you create the world that you kind of get, right? So if you always going out with the idea, the assumption that people don't like you, people don't want you, people don't, the more negative you create around you, the more you experience that, because you have created that.
And you find yourself living in that circle because you created.
You created that. Exactly. And the more you open up, the more
people come to you.
Exactly. And the more accepting, the more you tell yourself, I'm accepted, I'm welcome. I mean, I don't know why nobody will welcome me. I have not done anything wrong. So, you know, to empower yourself, and because you're empowered and you don't feel inferior when you meet anybody, you respect them, and you get that respect back. And if they don't, then you have to confront them with you know, like, hey, I mean, I don't understand. Can you explain why this is your behavior towards me? You know, so
like you mentioned, you went out and you seek it for yourself, like the engineering. The question comes in my mind, like, still, from music, all the way from music. Okay, it has a little bit, you know, engineering,
audio engineering,
and also, but you are doing software and hardware and
So
how did that studies go?
So right now, let me shift it this way. When you, like, I've been in computing before I came to Europe.
Okay.
So when I was in Ghana, I was already in NIT, which is like basically learning everything that you can do with computer, but office-based software studies. So you learning how to use Microsoft Word, Excel. Back then it was Access and all those stuff. So my love of computer was really big. And then when I came here, I wanted to study computers. And I went to the school and I talked to them, and I'm like, yeah, it's good, but your language level is all that. So we cannot let you, right? So it was painful. So I went back, and we were all in the same school, Spear. I did electricity. And then right after that, I went back to the working, you know, I secured a job. I was hired. And after a year or two, the company was closing, going bankrupt. So then I told him, like, give me let me go with the bankrupt company. I'm going back to school.
Yeah.
So I went back to Hogeschool, KTK, in Antwerp. And then I started with software development engineering. So I actually studied at least for the half a year that I was able to maintain the language and all that academic stuff. I did stay there. And then I think that I reduced from the software class to multimedia and software. And then I think after almost a year, I just decided financially it was not working the way I wanted it to work. So I better go back to the work field to make sure I don't bring myself into trouble, right? So I did that. And when I went back to the work floor, I didn't even know what I took as job. I just took something, but then I just continued with evening school, learning about, stuff like that. So basically, while I was doing all these things on the side academically, on the work floor, I am pushing my seniors, like hey, can I do this? Can I try this? Is it okay for me to, enroll in this? You find the team leader and then you speak to him. So I'm interested in maybe becoming, I started by becoming first a commissioner engineer. Okay. Commissioner engineering is basically, we build a system, the customer purchased the system. He needs somebody to come on site to implement the system. And because it's a automation and autonomous vehicle, we call it, it's not a system that the companies can install it and, kind of commission it. So you go there and you support them, you implement it, you know what they want. And then when the machines start working, you can go home and they have their machine. Okay. And hopefully they're happy, which is not always the case. Of course, it's technology. It's not, there's always something, something, right? So like that. And then slowly, so the last year, the last 1.5 years, I've been trying and focusing on software, mainly also because in Ghana, we have this tech project going on where we are trying to, the first part of our training process is giving these software engineers a space where they can really get hands-on training. Okay. And so for me, it was important for me to understand the software field, what is going on there. So I took some courses, of course, online. I did some courses and also on my job, luckily for me, I could do like a lot of software component testing and all that stuff. But mainly I worked not as a developer for my company. I was working more, I don't want to call it, it's more mainly component-based development. So you're testing products, but you sometimes have to write here and there some codes for yourself to figure stuff out and let the system work. Right?
Oh, that's interesting. You write codes.
Oh yeah, of course you have to write code. You write codes, right? Codes. You have to write code, these days.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. You write codes.
It's very interesting that like transition from the music and then back to school. Like I say, it's character thing. If you don't have the character, you will break down, and then the financial situations comes in.
You need to find a way.
It's not easy. So it's a job well done. It's a job well done. And you mentioned something like in Ghana. You given the course there or the lessons there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did because when right the time where I was about to graduate from junior high, that was when computers were like coming up in Ghana, like the first 86X type of processors were coming out with those type of computers because that's where the West has already introduced Pentium computers. So the older ones were allowed to come to the older ones, the 80XX, were allowed to come to Ghana, Africa, I guess. So my mom brought a couple of them, and he already started a shop also over there. So my uncle was supposed to take care, but Africa, our situation. That guy just blew it, sold the rest, and then so there was like a few of them left. And
we used to those people.
Yes,
we know them.
Please help us help you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Jesus. So the whatever was left over, me and one guy decided, we're just going to also like operate a training center.
That's good.
For people who want to learn about computers. And back then, it was just like Mavis BS. That's like learning how to type. And then we would just teach them how to open a Word document, learn how to use the Word document. And then the part that I was mainly doing was like opening the computer app, showing them where the memory is, what they had this case, like putting these things together. So and then on the side, I was also just like going to NIT to increase my, understanding of the computer and the software.
That's
stuff.
good.
So it was around 15, maybe 14, 15. So I was really like, but it's a bit character also. You
and the courage.
And the courage
to do it. But you had a dream and you were chasing after it.
Yeah.
But without motivation and the aim, your aim was to become that person.
For me,
who you are now, and it's still
more to come. So.
More to come.
Yeah,
it's a learning process, and
it is.
And for you to have that courage to do it, it's not a lot of people.
Well,
that's that. You know, it's not like that in our Ghana community, in Belgium or in Europe. You know, a lot of people think they're just going back to the workforce. The system, you know, going to the system 9 to 5.
And then
but there's more to it.
There is more to it.
You can be working as independent. You understand? You can learn more, get a skill set that they really values, because what, like this age computing and stuff, what is the robots take over?
Exactly. And I think it's important that as people, as a person, you try to, as an immigrant, and something that, from next year we will be working a little bit around, because I think that it's important for us to understand our position as immigrants and which place we want to be. Are we giving up on where we're coming from and saying we're going to completely live our life here? Are we going to, if not, then you have to ask yourself some questions, and based on the answers that you get from those questions, you can really okay, this is how I'm going to, because let's say you come to Europe, you drive a truck for 40 years.
40 years. After that, what?
After that, you know what I mean? You can go home and teach somebody how to drive, but it's the impact is a bit less, and then maybe acquiring some understanding around the skill set, construction, engineering, or how processes are done, things like that. So that when you look back, because what I think our parents did very well is that they came here, they find something to do, because it wasn't easy. The challenge, they managed, they got something, and then you go and build something. Back then,
it wasn't easy to walk around
exactly
freely,
like we do now. No, it wasn't. So they kind of did some, footing for us. But what their generation couldn't do was to get the information that we are getting now.
They were not able to get it.
They wouldn't even let it. They had no access to it.
No access to it.
Nobody will let you with no educational background say, no, you're not going to do an engineering job when you don't even have the qualification.
You're black. How do you
exactly? We don't even think you can, right? For them
we don't even want you to have that kind of
right?
Simple like
that.
That.
It's a simple.
Let alone to go get a loan to buy a house, and
that's it.
So these things.
So we are in a good position, and our position as the next generation should be making sure that we are refurbishing where we are coming from. And that will mean that when we come here, when we get the opportunity, we are not only looking at right now, but we're looking at in the long term, as the skills that I'm getting, can I set those skills in later on in changing people's life, in where my sisters are coming from, where my heritage is. Because by doing that, we are solving that problem of people having to leave the country unwillingly or, right? And that is, for me, one of the
way to give back.
Yeah, exactly.
A way to give back. And you done so well, because I didn't even know that you're good in constructions. And then I entered this place, you build up a studio. I'm like, when did you do that? When did you have time to study that? Because I didn't know that this is my this is my profession. This is your zone. This is my zone. This is my job. This is what I do.
I didn't even know that myself, but I think I followed some few stuff.
But that's good. It's well done. I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you're putting up this. And no, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, that I know Oscar to be a musician. Okay, you're engineering. But how did you start getting into renovation and putting up?
Well,
because I remember when you started, you gave me a call. You need some
help, right? I think,
because of schedule, busy school. I was also back in school, studying nursing,
which was very good.
And there was no time. But then I got here, and you I didn't show up, and he did it himself.
Well, I got help from my father-in-law, but most of the work I think I did it myself. The thing is
good.
Like when you want to, for me, that's the thing. I always tell people, like, I'm a functional person. Like when I get to a point in my life where I need to know something, I make sure I go and know it. But don't tell me to, I go and sit in a space and start learning stuff that I don't know what I'm going to use it right away for.
Yeah.
Then I'm not that type of person. So like, if you tell me right now, go and do a master's degree for 4 years, and I don't know why I need that, I will not go. I tell
you need to be interested in and also know what you're going to use it for.
I need to know, okay, when I'm studying this master's is because of that.
After that, I'm going to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Or while I'm studying it, I'm using that knowledge to do that. Right now, I'm following a postgraduate course in Ghent also, over how to raise funds and organize funding for projects and things like that.
See why he's my brother. That's good.
So because I'm at that point where it's becoming necessary for me to understand how that world works, and I just go and I try to learn it, and then I'm implement it also while I'm learning.
The necessity is there.
It's the same thing that happens.
You mentioned something about giving back to Africa, giving lessons. And the last event that you were part of, the Strong Africa,
the African, the African determines the future.
Determines the future. And I saw you were part of the Pan-Africanist speaker, and I was like, I'm going to be there. No, I have to be there. I have to.
And that was good that you came. It was really good. Yeah.
And I did a video. I did short video of it, and the questions that was asked there, even though it was put together by a white man, baffles me.
Yeah,
that he thinks so good of Africa that he put something like that together, and then having you, the Africans, there to talk about it.
Yeah,
I didn't know that you were advocating for a strong Africa.
Yeah,
are you into politics?
Am I into politics? I don't know. I don't know. I'm into Africa.
Shake my hands for saying that. Shake my hands for saying that. Because if you'd have said I'm a politician, I was like, that's wrong. That's a wrong answer. I didn't want to hear that.
No, I'm into Africa. I'm into. I think for me, it's like, it's not about politics. It's about people's life for me. Like, Africa makes me emotional because there's so much that needs to be done over there, right? And I always tell people, like, there's too much work to be done. And as an African, I always feel like it is my responsibility to do something. To do something about it. Why should I sit down for somebody else to go and try to fix my home's problem? It's our home.
They wouldn't even fix it well.
Exactly right. So that is like the drive behind also the organization, the YAPS network, and all that stuff. Because it's like, I just want to. I feel like we need to do something as ourselves. While other people might sympathize with us and want us to do well, I think it's up to young Africans, Africans in general, the diasporas, to really say, okay, look, we still, whatever it is, it's not all that, rosy yet, but still we can do something. Let's go and do something. And that's what drives me, basically. Yeah.
It was interested to having you, you were there, the other two ladies that were there. One was from Fatima was from Morocco.
Morocco, yes.
Yeah.
Sosa was Nigerian.
And then
Nigerian, Belgium, yes. Yeah.
The ideas, the mindset, like
it's amazing.
It was like strong mindset, like we want Africa to grow, we want Africa to progress, we want Africa to work.
That is it.
And it seems like you guys all had the solutions.
Solutions. Yeah, we have some ideas.
How to get it done.
And how is the implementation? But the thing is, also, like, to backtrack on what you said about the guy who said the questions, and also from Mo Magazine,
I think he did a good job.
Mo Magazine
with her partner there,
the lady Ava or something like that. I think they really did a good job. And actually, the publication that they did, so actually, is a magazine that they publish different topics, and their last publication was about Africa. That the fact that Africa was going to determine the future, whether positive or negative. And it is. Nobody can argue that. The numbers, the statistics, everything points out that Africa is at the stage where it can either flip the coin on the right or to the left. And
I hope it goes right.
Right?
Right is positive.
Yeah, we want. Well, if you say that in
not
America,
not in politics. Sorry,
doesn't always go right. But yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, whether we like it or not, we have to do something. It's our time now. Our demographic dividend, or at least on the human resources level. If we have good people in charge who will think like for the next 5 years, 10 years, and really have programs and good strategies in place, then Africa can really become an economic power. It is possible. It's not like, there are challenges, but we are the last in the class, right?
Actually.
Which means that we have so many people to learn from and to really accelerate fast.
And we don't have to focus we don't have to put our focus on just few individual countries or partners.
No, we can do whatever we want. Basically, Africa is like, I've always been thinking is that Africa is the hottest chick right now that Africa. And if she is smart, she can play whatever she wants, because China wants it, America wants it, Russia wants it, everybody wants it, right? So how Africa position itself, and also like how they collaborate as one voice, because that is where we are not.
The unity is not there.
It's not there yet. Speaking with one voice, and also in terms of speaking with one voice, that is having. Right now, maybe let me be a bit, nuanced there. The African Agenda 2063 gives an outline of where Africa wants to be in the next, let's say, 40 years, because we're in 2020. So
but do you think we can do that? Do I think we can succeed on that whatever it is that they put on the paper to achieve in 2063? Do you think they can do that?
If we start now and we are really hands-on, because right now I'm missing some few things. I don't know yet. Maybe I can, because the thing is, like, the implementation is always the key. You can have anything on a paper, right? And that is something that is basically most of the time my critique on the academic work, the academic institutions, that we kind of do research, put things on paper. And nobody picks that. If nobody picks that one up, mostly what people do that is very good, like technology companies do very well, is that they go into the research arena. But researches have been done by people. They just get those papers, they go into the labs, they start kind of making solutions out of it. Years later, they have a product, they bring it on the market, and we buy it, or we pay big money for it. Same thing that Tesla did, the same thing that all these AI even have been doing in the last years, but paper and research. Africa needs to start thinking in that line,
that direction.
We need to understand, okay, we have this agenda, this is what we want, but how are we implementing it on the
that's why I asked the question, that is it possible for us to do it? Because if like we said, first we need unity. But now you are going to try to fulfill something that you said you are going to do in 2063, but you are not united. You don't have one voice. How do you get that?
Yeah, very good question. And the thing is, like, is Africa is partly on the good, let's say, in terms of being united. The way we market,
don't have a good structure.
Exactly. Good. The structure is not completed yet. In terms of marketing, I think we are very poor at marketing ourselves. Africa is not that bad in terms, because when you have an organization like the African Union, the AU, if you have the AU, which is like the topmost stronghold of the African countries. Then the idea that we are not united is a little bit limited, because if we are not united, you cannot get 54 countries and their leaders in one room to discuss something. The thing is, when you get those people in the room, the type of things that they are discussing, the way they go out from that room and to go and do, that is what we are struggling with, right? Because you can, right now, if AU can call a meeting and get 54 head of states with their entourage in one room, that means that there are very good steps that we've already taken in terms of being united. The only problem is when they move out of those rooms and they go to their individual countries, where is the connection of the collaboration effort being seen between, for instance, Ghana and Nigeria and Mali, Mali, and like that tells us that we are working towards the same goal. And instead of Nigeria say, oh, we are struggling with this, we're going to go there and borrow money.
It's a good point you made. Like when they go on a meeting, like you have the 54 states, head of states in one room, and they have a chairman. And then they all agree this is what we're going to do. So each leader take home that homework.
Exactly.
And if they implement that homework, everybody go home and do what is told to do. It will work. Actually, that unity is from that union.
That's from the AU. AU is the key.
So the unity is there. They just don't exercise it.
They are not exercising it properly. The unity is there. They are not exercising it as they are supposed to exercise it. It will be my critique. And as to considering the way the African Union is standing now and the way the state of Africa is now. But I think that we should push it a little bit more compared to because I'm always nowadays, the free time I have, I'm like looking at, first you have to look at federations. Federations is like when states decide, okay, we're going to fuse into one body and we're going to work together, which is like the United States.
I think that would be perfect for Africa.
United States, Russia Federation. Russia is also a federation. China is more republic, but I think they also have a sort of a federation because at the end of the day, when you have states that have different, head of states and doing different things, they come together, it's still a federation. Nigeria is a federation.
Because they are big.
Yes, so they are big. So they have also their own province, states heads, and the states heads, come under the president, and then they form the Nigerian Federation. So when you look at those federations, it's possible that Africa can take the same party. When you look at the AU, EU, you can now look at the structure of the AU, the structure of the African Union, and then you have to try and understand the governance, the way they implement things. How does the European implement, their policies? Which decisions are left, for instance, to the country itself and its leadership, and which decisions are left to the bigger, African,
the
whole federation. And those are the type of differentiations that Africa needs to start working on. And then also saying, okay, we will now not send Ghana alone to go to the US to go and,
negotiate.
No, we will go as Africa to the US to meet with the United States president. And if that means that the president of the individual countries will have representatives in the African Union, that will be, the voice to Ghana, for instance. So
one voice.
Exactly. So when the United States invites us, it's not an individual that is going. The representative of Ghana in the AU will go with whoever is leading the team to the US, and then that person knows exactly what the president of Ghana would like to do locally in Ghana. But that should not be so different from what we are doing in Nigeria, because we want the same thing. Otherwise, if Ghana prospers and Nigeria is poor, Nigeria is coming. We don't Ghana and Nigeria. Nigerians will come to Ghana because Ghana is prospering. So what is Ghana doing that Nigeria has to also implement so that the same prosperity is kind of spread properly on the continent? Those are the type of thing that I'm thinking about, but also I think that we should be looking at ourselves.
It is a good example that we can learn from. We can go, but it's interesting. It's interesting because if you're talking about the unification of Africa, how Africa should come together, we keep advocating for this over and over and over, and it seems like the leaders are sleeping. They don't want it, but
they don't get it.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
Professor Lumumba said it that it is a challenge for them because they all have small powers they don't want to get rid of. They are so used to.
They're afraid of losing
this.
I'm
quoting Professor Lumumba now. Pierre Lumumba. He said they are so used to that small power. Yes, the master door being open for them. You understand? So they are scared of losing that power, so they don't want to let it go to be answering to
one person. And actually, I don't know if I can pick it up,
ahead.
But the thing is not answering. It's a sort of a myopic vision that any leader who thinks like that have, because you're not losing power. You're not losing the corporate world. Why is the corporations in the world, the multinationals, the most powerful institutions that are silent in our society that nobody dares attack is the multinationals.
Yeah.
People talk. It's not politicians that control us. It's not the how do you say the
Republicans.
The people who are controlling our communities, our societies are the multinationals. They have the money. They are the one who invites politicians and say, we want this done. We will give you that amount of money. You should speak on our behalf, and nobody else is going to change that. So if you think about corporations, how they get their stuff done all over the world, then you, as a president of any country in Africa, you have that thinking cup. You will understand that by working together, you are increasing your own power. Right?
Of course.
Yeah, you're only becoming better because you get a good military backup, because now it's not only the military effort of your country. I mean, think about it. We see coup d'etats nowadays. Some of the coups have been in favor of what we want, but let's say we see coup d'etats in Africa. Imagine that, let's say, Ghana's president is able to share his power and authority with the president of Nigeria. Nigeria is vice versa. There are structures that have been put in place that the effort of, let's say, the Ghana government can be, supported, or at least can be implemented also by the government of Nigeria. So let's say we do a coup d'etat in Ghana, but the Nigerian government also has, because it's Africa, the military in Nigeria has the same power to come to Ghana and say, no, we do not accept this.
Yeah.
You've derailed already the power of the local military, because they know if we don't have the support of the other militaries, they will come out. Once we do something wrong, they will be coming. And if they are coming with more numbers, more power, no, they actually, if you destroy that coup d'etat,
but sometimes like President Traore is doing now.
Yeah.
They say Burkina Faso is rising.
Yes, and that's what I meant. But some of them have been nowadays. Some of the coups have been in favor of what Africans want.
What Africans want.
So that is a good thing.
They've Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger.
Yeah.
Now they are working together. They have one voice.
Exactly. And now their forces, their effort, their military forces are also going to be intertwined. So together. Even if, let's say, you attack Burkina Faso, Mali can rise up and say, according to the agreement between those three countries, say, if you do a local, you go ahead. We will be coming because we have an agreement that we can do this. Because they have the same agreement with military from France or military from the United States. The military of the United States, for instance, can enter Ghana without nobody's authority. So why can't an African countries have the same agreement and then actually check the local military leaders?
And whatever they are.
But anyways, that's just an idea of,
what can be done.
What can be done.
And what must be done and needs to be done. We're on the same subject of the collaboration and working together, the African countries. Let's say West Africa bloc.
Yes. Yeah.
They've said they're working together, but they have different agendas on their own.
Yeah.
And then they have West African bloc. What is the bloc for?
Yes,
because if you say you are working together, but you don't have a common agenda, what happened to Burkina Faso?
Yeah.
And then the France and the United States were trying to put pressure on them.
Yeah.
And then they used the puppets.
Yes, of course.
Let me put it that way. Because if you have a television and the remote is in my hand and I'm controlling it, they are puppets.
Yeah.
So if they say they're going to use West African bloc to send military to Burkina Faso.
Exactly. I'm your brother.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then Sorry to say, somebody else is telling me that, hey, your brother is messing up. You should go and straighten him up. Who the F are you? Pardon my English. Who are you to tell me that? You understand? Only me to.
That's it. And that is where we I mean, I don't know if I can pick it up from there, but the thing is, that is where we as Africans need to, I mean, as African leaders, and also not only the leadership. I'm happy that we're having this conversation. And I think we should, most of this type of conversation, we should, as Africans, rise together as a citizen and show like we care about what is happening to us. Right?
Yeah.
We care about where we're coming from, and we want to talk. Even if people don't want to hear us, we want to have conversations about these things, because most of the time we are not involved. We are too busy trying to survive, and therefore there are conversations happening around us, decisions being taken for us without us being involved. But back to your question before we get into that, is that we need to, if US, let me use it this way, if US and other countries who have more power can dictate for African leaders to go on and fight an African country, it is because you guys are not properly united. And you guys don't have a working structure. Because once again, multinationals, how do multinationals function? How is it that a multinational a country representation of a company in the US, in Belgium, still answers to their headquarters in the US, and they get the same resources, the same funding, the same whatever they need, the same budgets, and they can do whatever they want as long as they are working in line. Africans are doing that with the Western countries more, but we're not doing it with the Africa to Africa. So it's like you said, it's an ECOWAS bloc, making it easy for the
West
exactly to kind of to like, we don't want to deal with everybody all the time. We just one represent. We tell you this, you go and handle it with the rest, right? But reverse that. Let when you turn the table around and say, okay, look, we can have a single representative, one guy who with a bunch of team, with all the checks and balances around him, who represents our bloc. This is our global vision for our bloc, for the East African, for the West African, Central Africa. And then like that, if you can pull it up eventually to a single body that operates and really slowly dissolve, how implementations and check and balances on what we guys are doing
step by step,
right? But we are not there yet. We do that because somebody tells us like, you guys are too many. Go and form a group and let that guy come and talk to us. And that's the Western bloc. But when we want you guys to do something, we just speak to him and he has to take it. And that is where we have to start working properly to use it for our own interest also. So in regards to the ECOWAS issue, that was really unfortunate that the older guys thought these guys are doing something wrong. If 3 countries organize a coup d'etat. If I was in charge of any decision-making place in the world, in ECOWAS, if 3 countries rebels, whoever comes to me will have to, first of all, answer to me, why will 3 countries rebel at the same time? What is going on? If they can answer that to me, then I can go and then start fighting those guys who rebel.
Talking about coups.
Yeah.
Cool. Now they say Tuareg is Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger did a coup.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they kick out the puppets. From and France were not happy. Europeans, whatever. America is not happy.
Yeah.
But then Guinea. President has
Yeah.
been on since 1982. So now, up to date,
he's still hanging out.
1982, and he's still there.
Yeah.
And then he's grooming his son
to take over. Yeah.
To take over when he is gone. Is that not a coup?
Yeah, is that not a coup?
That's democracy. They call it democracy.
It's a democratic coup.
If it should happen in Europe or the collective West,
it will not work.
They wouldn't allow it.
No, exactly.
But if it happen in Africa, they support it.
Exactly. So then you have to see the two things. Like, when does the issue crosses the boundary of what the Western world interest is, and therefore they speak, and where does the issue stays within the interest of the Western world, so they don't have to say anything. And then where it stays within or outside the interest, let's say, yes, they're outside the interest of the West, and therefore they are not going to act. That is where we as Africans have to start acting, because that is our interest.
That's our interest.
So if we don't start looking at it that way, like, oh, if the coup happened and the West doesn't like it, they will do everything to make sure we reverse that coup. But let's say if the coup happened and the West like it, we like it, so it can happen. Nobody cares, right? But for us as Africans, we have to start thinking, like, what is our interest? Do we want presidents that stay on for forever and afterwards hand over to the batons to their sons? If we don't want that collectively, then it is up to the Africans themselves to now, we have to now stand up. And it's not that difficult. Let me add this to it. Maybe if you're listening and you're living in a country where things are happening that you disagree with, it's about organization, power.
One voice is
exactly. You as an individual cannot do nothing.
It's like a broom.
Exactly. You cannot do nothing. It's about organization. It's the same way that the French Revolution happened. There were smaller organizations, grassroots ones, that were coming together, aligning on what they want, and slowly, not just don't go out there and don't think about it. Strategically align to have the majority of the voices before you let your voice be heard, right? But right now, I mean, it's happening slowly in Africa, but it still needs to happen on the larger number. We need, like, for instance, a day that a market women will say, we are not opening the shop today because of this reason. How many market women, for instance, do we have in Africa? But who's organizing them?
But it's hard. If they don't open, they don't eat.
No. Before that, the market women have announced on. That is what happened here. We've announced.
It's a work in progress. They've been working towards that day.
Exactly. It's an organization.
They know what to do. And,
exactly. That is what we call the organization. So before we go to shut this Saturday down, no market women we've told everybody that this day, make sure you have stock, right? Because you cannot come to the market that day, because for this particular reason, we're doing this to draw attention. And that is the organization aspect. Right now, we don't have that. So it's like, okay, people are protesting and they shoot them.
So the people, the citizens themselves are not united.
That's it.
So how do we get, if your citizens are not united, how do you get leaders to unite?
Exactly. The leaders are actually united. The leaders are actually, rich people connect with rich people.
So they are united on a different scale.
That's it. Right. They're for their own interest, because they know you as the individual on the ground. Look at Europe. Last week there was in Brussels a protest by the NGOs in Brussels, and actually the whole Belgium, because there is a decision from the federal government that they were going to cut the subsidies by 60%, the subsidies that the NGOs get. They came together, and it didn't happen ad hoc. They've already been informing people this date. We are going to go to Brussels. Mm-hmm. We're going to protest. We're going to let these people hear that we do not agree with this idea. Mm-hmm. And when the date came, they came together in their numbers, and they showed the people, and they made their petition to them and said, like, you cannot do this for this and this and that reason. And if you do it, we will not agree with you, we will not vote for you. That is the power of the people. You elect your own leaders. So if you elect sucky leaders, they will do sucky things for you, right? And that's so. I want us to now go back to like the bottom, empower the people, the citizens themselves. Because to wait on our leaders to say, we are going to change your leadership, cannot change unless the followers demand it to do this.
Demand change.
Yeah, demand. Speak up. Organize yourself. Join something. Don't be that. Africans are funny in that sense that we are not part of anything except churches and mosques.
Right. See, that's something I don't want to touch. That's religion and politics.
No, but there's nothing wrong with that. I'm somehow an ordained pastor. I have gone to the Bible school. So I know. So I have nothing against religion, but it's a mistake. The greatest mistake of our communities and the way we organize ourselves as people is that we've only organized ourselves on religious basis. We come together in churches, and that's why pastors rule our world. And there is nothing wrong with that. but they cannot get the things we want for us. We need to go to civic societies, civic organizations, and be part of those organizations. If you're an African and you're a farmer, but you don't join a farming organization, how would your interest be defended?
Yeah.
Because you and you as an individual, you cannot go to the parliament.
No.
But if you're in your numbers, you're putting...
You have a strong voice together.
Putting your monies behind that. You send that guy over there, you write a letter to, this is what we want. He goes there with 3 people, with a little bit of money, with a little bit of numbers, 100,000 members of our organization. So this is what we want. 100,000 for a politician is a huge number. That can change his destiny. But we are sitting there on that power, and they come there and give us 100 CDs and then now we hand it over to them. So
there's a conversation that needs its own timing and own section.
Yes.
But it's good that we're touching on it so that we know that we wake people up. Consciously. I want to ask you about YAPS.
YAPS is an organization that, we started we started 2015, and then we did something. I think you were 1 or twice in some of the events we organized, and then officially 2017, and then like that we've been existing. The original focus of YAPS was like mobilizing young people, with migration background, around how they can get through the education system, how they can find jobs, and also how to find each other. That was the main 3 things that we set out to do. And that's why we were also like doing the conferences to bring like role models, people who have like gone through the university, graduated.
I remember the one that we did in Antwerp, that this guy, financial guy, came from Amsterdam.
To speak, right. I remember. Yes, so we were like looking and digging around for people that we can see as inspiration to our communities. Tell them like, look, this is possible. You have the potential. Somebody has done it. It's not easy, but keep trying. You can get there. And I think along the line, we started thinking about how we can do something in Africa. Then we launched a project also, which is a small project now in Accra, where we are trying to, get the right people to be in the team so that we can expand to different areas in Ghana if possible. And also with the availability of funding. But the goal is also to give people hands-on skills, also to combat unemployment, because when people graduate, from learning theoretical stuff, they cannot use that to start anything. So if anybody hires them, they are stuck. But if you have hands-on stuff, if you have skills like technical skills, and you join forces with somebody, you can start a business. So that's one thing that we are looking at, like to help these young ones get. And then right now we are looking at also like in global how we can get into the job aspect of Africa, because demographically we are growing. Africa need more jobs. That was part of the conversation we had back then during the future of Africa. Which is we need to create more jobs. And how are we going to do that?
It's very interesting. So YAPS being the bloc that it is now, and you've given a little bit hint about the future where YAPS wants to go. It's a beautiful thing that in Belgium here, the diaspora is here. Most of us are also not united. It all comes back to the unity.
That's it.
Because if we put our voices together, look for the right leaders that have already been there to help us, like Mr. Richard Asamoah. These are people that leaders that they can educate us on a different level for us to be able to move forward. But we don't reach out to them. And sometimes I pity this about us, the youth. Sometimes we think we know so much, and then we quicker on our feet, so we think we can do it alone. But there's a saying that the youth are faster. But the elderly knows the way.
Yes, indeed.
You understand, the destination that you want to go. So in order to get to that destination, you are fast, but make sure you need that wisdom to avoid. You understand? And it's something that we need to do. The elders that have that knowledge, we need to reach out to them for advice. The reason why I used Mr. Amoah, Richard Amoah, is he's been like a father figure to me. And since I was here in Belgium, before we started D-Force, Frenzy, his son,
we all been in his house.
You understand? We used to use his office as studio to record music, and he has been a positive impact to me personally. That we met in Ghana a few months back, and what he did for me in Ghana is amazing. He wasted his time, his resources to help me through a few. You understand
I do.
that whatever he told me, directed me, put me on the right path. I wouldn't have gotten there if he hadn't had. If he didn't give me that advice. He took his time to give me that advice, and I think we all need people like that in our life. Whatever it is that we're trying to do, this movement that we try to empower the youth, the young Africans. We need such people like that.
I agree with that. Definitely, 100%. It's where the work meet. I mean, we need to. The first thing is that working together needs to be. We need to put more effort. Yes, we need to put more effort in working together. I think right now I'm looking at a more structured way of how to bring people together. How to have proper representation of different parts of African countries in our organization and all that stuff. But also that the fact that we as Africans need to value, number one, what you just said, the mentorship kind of efforts. Like I think last month or something like that, we were part of this event by Sanka visit by who's Mr. Porting or something like that, the president of Sanka Ghana Council.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were also looking at how they can properly link with the next generation a little bit so that they can work together. And I think, yes, we have to properly structure the way we work together as a community, first identifying some of the people who are of value to the community and how we can get their voice, at least get them to speak into our community. The tricky part is like the timing. That is where sometimes it gets a bit difficult because people don't see. And once again, I go back to like the churches and stuff. Like people find it easy to sacrifice for faith stuff, but when you put an event up, and people don't, they will come up with 1,000 excuses not to be there. And so when you organize an event where nobody is showing up, you over time you will not put effort and resources into it, right? And so I think it's while we are educating our people, like, look, let's wake up to the reality that we as individuals cannot make it alone. And we need to work as a collective. And also we need to start identifying who has the knowledge, the wisdom that perhaps can guide us into some of the things we want to reach, and then set up the platforms for them to speak.
It's nice you touch on the subject on the churches and the individuals in the churches. Now, the problem is they went to the church collectively. They went to the church, and I don't want to say something to come across like I'm being wrong against church. But you made that decision.
Yes.
You made that choice to do that. Yeah. But then they sit at home.
Yeah.
Also, to complain about that politics in Ghana, Ghana government, but then if something like this, like you trying to put together collectively, like come together, let's discuss this thing.
Let's empower
together.
Ourselves.
They don't show up.
They don't show up because they don't see the value.
But then it's a problem that you and I have. Like, but then come, let's talk about it. Let's have that conversation. Let's find a solution. How to fix it.
Yeah.
You don't show up. It doesn't interest them. But then they sit at home.
And so
everybody has a big mouth and an opinion about what needs to change in Ghana politics.
That's it.
But if we are not together,
no, your voice is nothing.
Your voice is not good because you are sitting at home and nobody is hearing you.
Exactly, and that is why I meant like it is actually stupid not to be part of nothing. it's stupid not to be part of. If you're here, especially those of us in Europe, if I'm growing God has been good. I've been in spaces. I mean, I've been invited to spaces. So I know if you're an individual, if you're alone, it's not good.
They're not going to listen to you.
It's not good.
Like you said, it's good to be part of something.
Yeah.
A brother told me this, Kwabreniama, from New York. He's in New York now. God bless this brother. He's a good brother to me. He told me this once. Yeah. He asked me, "Do you go to church?" And I'm like, "Bro, time. I don't have the time to go to church, but I believe in God.
Yeah.
I believe in God. Don't get me wrong."
Yeah.
But then he said, "You have to be part of something, my brother.
Yeah, you have to be part.
If it's not church, be part of something.
Be part
because
of something.
alone, one voice, you cannot do it. Like you said, you have to. You cannot make change.
No, you can't.
And this thing, what he said, I've always resonated with me.
Yeah, be part of something.
You have to be
and
part of something.
And it's not only the church. You need to seek out. Like I'm saying, there should be organizations that you say, these things that these organizations are doing interest me. I'm going to get closer to it and get to know how I can be part of it, whether it's by giving my voice, my time, my resources, just so that you know you're
contributing to a positive cause.
That's it, and that's what Africa likes. If you look at it, everywhere in the world that people are prospering, underneath it, the community that of those people are the ones that makes those society rise. And the biggest example is the Jewish community. They donate to their own causes. They give to their own projects. They're constantly making sure that what is in their interest is getting done by coming together. And right. And I mean, I hope I didn't say anything wrong about the Jewish people, but it is important that we learn from them. That we learn from those who have, and the Chinese have done the same
thing.
During the research for the event that I went to be part of the panel. Between the Dutch comes up between 1918 and 2000, the amount of money that went to China, especially in the early ages of industrialization and the changing their community, the amount of money that went there, about 50% came from the Chinese diaspora. They sent all their money to China, so that the local people were empowered. And then when the foreign interests came and the industries were coming, they were properly set up that they were able to probably sit with them and negotiate, like saying, okay, if you want to come and sell your product here, no. If you want to come and manufacture it here, bring it. We will help you set the company up, and you can hire our people, and they can work in the companies, right? But we as Africans, I mean, we're sending a lot of money home, but it's not even structured, and most of that money is just going for our houses and our roads.
But even the house, your brother or your uncle will eat the money.
And they will chop half of it,
take a photo somewhere,
and live big and waste it. You know,
like you said, help us help you.
Exactly.
Like you said at the beginning,
it's like that. Really important. Really important.
It is very important that we come together as Africans to fight our own battles, to do things for ourselves.
Yeah, but who's going to do it for you? I mean, to sit down, that is begging. That is the beggar's mentality.
Yeah, and if you beg, the person giving you the money makes decisions, tells you what to buy.
Exactly, and that's what they're complaining about. That Western people Europe gives us money, but it comes with a whole bunch of clauses. You need to do this. You need to. Yeah,
once
what
again,
do you expect?
Like Professor Lumumba, I listened to my lad. He said,
I love him.
He said, who pays the piper plays the tune.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So if they are giving the money, they make
tell you what to do.
Tell you what to do. So your school systems and everything is not functioning well because you don't control it.
You don't control it. IMF will give you money, but tell you not to invest it in the infrastructure.
No, I tell you, don't teach them this. No, don't make sure they don't get smart.
Yes. So it's like, you know, I mean, like if you kind of look at the discussion we've been having, it's a little bit of the local issue, but also the global issues. We as people have to. If Africa is going to be, and the first question you asked me, if Africa can unite, Africa can unite if us if as me as a Ghanaian, the individual, my behavior towards the Nigerian that I meet on the streets, the Kenyan that I meet on the streets, the Ugandan that I meet on the streets, the Moroccan that I meet on the street, that type of consciousness needs to arise in us, first of all. We need that consciousness. We need that. We are the face in our history as Africans that it's not just being there's a paradigm shift going on the continent and around us as a people. All the things that have been said about us, some of it very negative and very wrong, are now being proven that these things that we thought of these people are not right, they're not truth, and that things have to change. And it has to change if we as the people accept that and say, yes, we are going to, this is about us. This is our time. We are going to make the work work. We're going to put in the work together, connecting. And then by behaving, in a certain way towards each other, perhaps we can really force the people who leads us, like where you're going. This
definitely, like you said, if we come together, we have power that we can push.
Yeah, you have
for more. Well, we can ask for more. We can push for more.
That's it.
It's interesting. Before we bring our conversation to an end, there's a few questions I want to ask you. It's not to challenge you.
You can challenge me. Challenge is always a good thing.
Competition is always a good thing, but challenges sometimes. No, it's not to challenge you. But I have this interesting question. When I came to the program that you were part of, I had this question because there was a teacher there from Belgium. She said she gave a task to a student, and then one of the students saw the program advertisement from the program, so she was interested to come in
and listen. Okay.
Luckily, when I got there, I didn't know that I have to pay, so I was about to pay. This lady was next to me, like, "Oh, I have an extra ticket. My husband was supposed to come, but he couldn't show up. So you can take my ticket if you want." And we had a good chat talking before for the program. And then through the conversation we were having, I listed a few questions, but we didn't get enough time to.
I remember you mentioned
because I have those. I asked the question and it was a difficult question. I know, but I had another question that. We know that Africa is not united. There's no freedom.
There's no freedom.
That's illusion freedom that they have now. There's no complete freedom. But a part of freedom, there's also a comfortability, because if freedom without comfortability, there's nothing. You have nothing. You're not comfortable in your skin. And if you're not comfortable, you are not well. That's the kind of disease Africa is having now. We are not well. We are sick.
Well.
We need to be healed in order to have comfortability. So we can feel good in ourselves. Now, you were there, Fatima were there, and Isosha was also there. And as Pan-Africanists, or modern Pan-Africanists, my question, one of the questions is, what do you think you can do if the key is handed to you?
If the key is handed to me,
to you, as an African leader, or you get my question.
I get your question.
Get the key to become a president, knowing that you don't have total control or power to rule the country, to make a decision that will affect the country positively. What would you do?
That is an interesting thing. Interesting question. If I was to be given the key to lead any country,
in that situation
now, I wouldn't. I think you should to lead any country in Africa now. You need to fully be divorced of your personal interest and have really an interest of the people, or at least you should be aware of the people that you're going to lead. Right? You should know, like, what is the state of the single mother in the village in Unahavo, for instance, in Ghana? What is the state of the couple with 2 children in the Ashanti region? What is the state of the elderly in the Greater Accra region? Why do you need that? That is the human level. And then, of course, you have to think, like, the business level, right? You need to understand the business level. How much money do we have? How much money don't we have? Physically, I mean, like, because it's like taking away a company. If you don't know, if you don't make inventory, you cannot change nothing. Because you're not aware.
You need to know what you have and what you don't have.
That's it.
To be able to make use of.
That's it. So that so that you can now start strategically because people mostly go to office with their own plan, but they don't know what they're going to inherit. And that's why they fail most of the time. So if people tell you
needs to be done,
exactly, you need research. You can't promise things that you don't know. It's like me coming to Europe and never been to Europe and say I'm coming to be a millionaire. Actually, that was my idea. So far, not yet. Why? Because I didn't understand the environment, right? So first, I will first of all as a leader, I will first need to know like where am I in my personal life. That's why I talk about personal interest. For me, a house, a sleeping place, a nice car, my family doing well. That should be enough, right? I don't need thousands of houses. I don't need, if an African leader who cannot tell you what is their ceiling of self, can never be a leader. So for me, that's where I work, and then get to know the status of everything within my country. Then after that, I will start with powerful negotiation, because African leaders negotiate from two things: from desperation and from power, right? Desperation means that this thing is critical, but we don't have the resources to change it. And so we're going to need somebody to, work with us. But every African leader also has a negotiation power, because you're always inheriting the power to say yes or no to selling something in the country, right? So it's about like that negotiation power properly, and the desperation power properly.
What you're willing to give to get what you want,
and also make sure that it's not just getting the peanuts, but you're getting real stuff that eventually can flow back to the offices, and also good check and balances. We don't have good check and balances. That is controlling the offices, and stuff like that. That is where we miss a lot. But if I was a leader, those are the three things I would
worked on. It's interesting when you started with divorcing from your personal.
If you don't,
very interesting, because a lot of these leaders are there for their personal gain.
That's it, and that's the sorry ass of everyone.
And that is killing the country.
Because if you go there because you can get beautiful women, nice cars, they will give you.
They will give you
because the mindset of intelligence, or at least when you look at the way the world organizes, is people want to know what you want so they can use it to control you. That's all. That's what you. Right. That's the whole point of intelligence.
Part of the intelligence strategy to run business. Actually,
people want to know what you want, and because if you
take advantage of that and then use that.
Especially when you don't have what you want. Yeah, of course.
It is sad. And then you mentioned something about knowing what the people want and being there for the people, which means you have to throw your own interest away.
You have to
be there for the people, what they need. You have to sacrifice for the country. You have your patriotism have to show at the maximum level.
Maximum. Why? Because you're going to pain the people. Every African leader now, that's sorry to say, that promises luxury. We're going to do. They don't get it yet. Now we have to go down. We really, as leaders, if we have good leadership, and that's what P.L. Lumumba always is trying to preach there. Do your homework. You guys need to go down to the foundations and start figuring out this stuff. This is not the way we want it. We need new one. And by creating new foundations, and that means that you need time. You need to pause some things. You need to stop some things. You need to say,
get rid of the dead ones.
What Touré is doing now. When he came in, he paused a lot of things. He's like, no. Because if we're going to operate under, putting out fire, then you cannot. You need to pause a lot of things. You need to go down. And he visited a few women in his country, trying to understand what is going on here. Then after that, you can go and sit on the big table and start talking to people, right? And that's why, as a leader, if you come in with a lot of self-interest, maybe I have these companies in Dubai and all that space that want to give me a contract, but the money that they want to give is so much that I think if I go into politics, it's going to open some doors for me. these guys, they will get rich themselves. A lot of people around them will prosper. They will start some companies. But on the larger level, like whole country level, the impact will be less. Because there's a lot of if you're not willing to show the people like, I am willing to be poor so that we can get rich together.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. The way you put it. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, my last question till we shut down. I think I'm keeping you for a long time.
No, it's okay.
Do you think the African diasporas who have the willing and the knowledge to go back to Africa or to invest in Africa, do you think it's a good idea now to do it now, or they should?
You should. As an African, you should always. I mean, I'm not for any person who turns his back on his country. If God says, or the universe or whatever you call it, made your parents come from a certain place, it means that he had something for you to do over there. That's for me, my agreement. So anybody who goes somewhere else and say, and I come to Europe and I just all of a sudden I'm all Europe and
not going back,
even feel ashamed of where I come from. I don't agree with that. I think that is the weakest point of any existence that you can ever
have. Of
a being, yeah, because you are also communicating with anybody who meets you that where
it's bad to give back.
It's bad to
give
connect.
Back.
Yeah, exactly. So you should always have it in you that no matter what, you will look back, you will connect, even if you don't have direct connection, and if nobody is chasing you to kill you, which I agree, if you're a fugitive is a different thing. But if you can, yes, you should look back, and especially this is the moment, this time, this
Africa is on the rise.
Africa we need you guys to go there with. I mean, don't go foolishly because the people sometimes they can be hyenas, right?
But do your homework, like you said.
Do your homework. Do the work that you need to do. Find out and connect with also maybe locally before you go diasporas here, because that's one thing that we are trying to do with YAPS now, like bring the diasporas with like motivation to go and do something together also here to have discussions, share their ideas, their struggles. So by the time you even go there and you start implementing anything, here you have a base, a support group that supports you, that you can call and say, or throw a question in there and say, look, I'm struggling with this, or I'm facing this, how can I go about it? That is already needed. Because if you don't have all those things, you go, they'll chop your money, you come back and you just
be back on zero.
Yeah. So it's really important that we go now. Now is the time. We need every young African, every African with any form of resources, whether it's in knowledge, whether it's experiences, workforce. If you have money, even the better. Because money, like investing in businesses over there is really a good thing now. But of course, please don't take my word. I've written a few times about it on my blog, but don't just go there and just give anybody your money. That's not what I'm saying. Please do your homework, find the right, security around your investments, and then you can invest in people who have already started companies. Always look for those who have like crossed the 3 years, 4 years level of their business, and just ask them questions about, okay, so what do you need? How do you see, like, if I invest maybe 5,000 euros in your company, how much will your profit margin grow? And how much are you able to pay me back and stuff like that? None, this is what we need, because the people there can do good, but they need support.
They need support.
And some of them just don't know how to behave towards support. So you try to help them. Some of them collapse you yourself. But it's just all about educating, sensitizing them, and really talk. But I think this is the time, especially for the business guys.
Well, now there you have it. With my brother Oscar, Asamoah, I value this guy thoughts. I value his advice. I value his mindset. I value the being that he is from day one, musically, whatever. Now to engineering and putting up this studio, it's amazing. Oscar, thank you for sitting with me. Also, thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for letting us shoot in this amazing studio that you put up.
It's still a work in progress.
Yeah, but we're going to finish it. We're going to finish it. Me personally, I'll come here. Let us
definitely
get it done quick, and then more progress and more talks like this, more educative teaching like this can go on. Thank you very much. On the topic with Mr. Oscar Yao Asamoah. Thank you.
Yeah. Nana, thanks so much. Yeah, I think it was a good conversation. God bless you too.
God bless you.
The topic.